We've got a fun one here as the first ever Black Friday football game. That's how it is being advertised here. You're going to get about 35% off in quarterback performance this year by the New York Jets as they take on the Miami Dolphins down in Miami. Yeah. No, is it Miami? No, it's in New York.
It's in New York, yeah.
It's in New York. So about 45% off actually in New York. Sorry, 25%. My apologies. But in general, though, Zach Wilson, we believe he's going to be the quarterback here. Robert Saleh did replace him with Tim Boyle, who just objectively did not do any better than Zach Wilson in the Week 11 game against the Buffalo Bills. He also threw a pick as well. But Jets team as a whole are really struggling well. The Miami Dolphins are still in rhythm. Had a good victory against a kind of resurging Raiders team now that Josh McDaniels is not in the locker room anymore. So I would say that would be a good victory at home. So they're going to be traveling up here for this Friday game. And it's going to be very unique. I want to throw it over to you here first. It's just with Miami, we know exactly who Miami is. I will say it does seem like that Devon Achane is going to be out. He left the game. Let me double check exactly on what the info. Did not return versus the Raiders because of his knee. He landed on the same knee that put him on IR, and it was a little painful. He was held back, I guess, by the medical staff, so he could have come into the game potentially. So, but his status overall will need to be monitored as well, just because he does bring a totally different kind of electric atmosphere to that running offense for Miami. So,
yeah,
if he doesn't play, it's definitely going to impact the Jets' overall defensive game plan. But I want to talk about the Jets real quickly, though, and their overall game plan. What do the Jets need? Like, what has been your overall thoughts on their performance, Zach Wilson, offensively, defensively? Just what are your overall thoughts on the Jets and what they have to do this Friday to come out victorious, to stay in the playoff line?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard when your offense is this incompetent. And I don't want to steal your take, but just this offensive line as a whole, they can't run the ball, they can't pass protect. Like, it's just a horrible. It is the worst offensive line in the league, I believe. So that to me is just like holding this offense back. I would be so frustrated if I'm Garrett Wilson because he really has the potential to be a top 10 receiver in the league, and he just can't get. Well, granted, he has 57 catches for 650 yards, but like he could have so much more. He could be a 1,000-yard receiver at this point if he was in a competent offense. Yeah. So that has to be frustrating. And then, this defense, I was looking at it last week against the Bills, and it's like they don't give up. They gave up one longish drive in the first half. And that was 9 plays, 65 yards. That actually ended up resulting in a 33-yard field goal in the Bills game last week. And then to open the second half, the Bills went 8 plays, 75 yards for a touchdown. But that's the only long drive they gave up. The final touchdown in the game was an 81-yard pass that was just, I think, a broken coverage. Mm-hmm. Like they weren't giving up any big drives. Two of the other touchdown, so a field goal and a touchdown, both came off of short fields on turnovers, which that just puts the defense in a really bad spot. And sadly, that happens at least once a game for this Jets offense as they give up the ball and give the opposing team a short field. So that for me is like this Jets team, this offense is just handicapping them in so many ways. And to me, it all comes back to that offensive line just not being good enough. So,
no, that's like to piggyback off that. It's very easy, I feel, and rightfully so. Like, it is completely correct just to talk about how bad Zach Wilson is. But I was just sitting there watching yesterday's game and just like looking at this offensive line, and there are things that Aaron Rodgers does significantly better, and the offense would just objectively be better. But I was sitting there debating how much better, like how many more games would they have won with Rodgers in the lineup. And I'm looking at it just with how bad this team is. I'm sure they beat the Patriots in week 3.
Yeah.
definitely beat the Raiders last week or 2 weeks ago. So that's 2 there. But in general, though, it's like this offensive line is just atrocious. Now, I'm sure there's other things that Rodgers would bring, like just the overall X factor. Just he's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, so he'd probably be able to read defenses better, be able to put guys in better positions that Zach Wilson just can't do.
Mm-hmm.
But still, once when the play starts, man, it just seems like he is constantly running for his life. He is a backup quarterback at best in the NFL, so I'm not like don't get that mistaken at all.
What's funny about that, in my opinion, is that like he's much improved this year over previous years, and he's still.
I think it showed you how bad he was last year.
Yeah,
That's how bad. Like, hey, it's like the Russell Wilson. Like, hey, man, you're doing much better than last year. You sucked last year, but you're doing much better.
Yeah,
it's like you've gone from like 1% to 2% on your battery phone.
yeah,
and so, but the Jets are going to have to find a way, and they're going to have to do it. There's like one way that they can win these games. And that is just having just a defensive grinded out juggernaut game. And what you saw yesterday against the Bills started off the exact opposite way, a fumble on the kickoff return, then get down 3 points, just totally messes up with the rhythm as we saw there. And then on top of that too, the Bills were just able to just get after Zach Wilson. And that's why I think Miami's going to have to do that there with their defensive front, bring a lot of pressure with Jalen Phillips and company, and just keep Zach Wilson or whoever the quarterback is just completely uncomfortable. And then on top of that, then too, one of the things as well that Miami's going to have to stay balanced. One of my fears for Miami as we get into the postseason months is that they're too much of a one-trick pony of throwing the ball with and like it's just speed, it's speed, which is extremely effective and works for them. But then I'm curious though how they're going to match up against this Jets defense, which is one of the better ones in the league. I know statistically they're struggling a little bit, but they have a very weird, unique type season going on just with how poor their offense is. Like they give them a lot of rushing yards, but I would say that they're still a good rushing defense team. It's just teams get up so big on them. By the second half, they're gassed. And they're just running the ball to get the clock out. But passing-wise, they're one of the best passing defenses in the league. And that's where I think that they match up well against Miami. I still think overall it's not going to be enough to overcome the struggles on the offensive side of the ball. But I'm curious, though, how Miami is able to be more of a dynamic offense, being able to run the ball effectively if A-Chain doesn't play, but then also then utilizing then creating those opportunities in the pass game as well. Miami's offense is still one of the best ones. I don't want to see them fall into this thing, though, with what Buffalo has fallen into, where they really can only pass the ball, and that's about it. They've run the ball better this year. But I don't want to see Miami fall into that trap because this offense can be extremely dynamic.
Well, that was when they beat Denver 70-20. They ran for 4 touchdowns, or if not more. Like it was an extremely balanced attack that just put the Denver defense in a blender, which now we can actually see is one of the top defenses in the league. And so like that for me is a little scary, like looking back at what they did to that team in week, was that 2 or 3? Mm-hmm. But I do think that this Miami offense will figure out a way to put up points. But they are kind of a one-trick pony right now because this offensive line isn't very good.
Yeah.
And they do struggle to get push in the run game. However, when Devon A-Chain was in, and Raheem Mostert's fast, but Devon A-Chain is a whole other level.
Well, he brings that level of youth, and I think they dual threat capability. And I will say, too, and then looking at this, because it's weird, and they're looking at this, they're third overall in total rushing yards on the season. But maybe it's just me, but I have a feeling that they still just they struggle to run the ball well. They have a lot of big explosive plays, the dynamics of the offense. But I'm probably being overly picky with my critique here. So I think that they're
actually I agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I think a lot of their rushing stats are skewed towards the front of the season, and they've just kind of slowly gotten a little worse as the year's gone on. And so, like you said, they have the third most rushing yards in the league. But again, I think they had that huge game against Denver where they, I think, ran for over 400 yards in a single performance. And then they had a good rushing game against New England early on. And so, like, I think it's just –
So they had a 5-week stretch where they ran for over 142 rushing yards or more. In that stretch, then they had a 350-yard rushing game against Denver. They had a 222-yard rushing game against the Giants. But then since then, though, in week 7, 8, 9, then they did have a bye week, and week 10, and then last week. The most they've gotten is 117. That was just one time, and the only time that they cracked 100 yards. So it's like, so I could see where you're saying it's definitely skewed towards that earlier part of the season as well, based on those big explosive plays. I just think with how dynamic they are in the passing game, they want to have a balanced rushing offense still, which is then going to open up that play action, going to open up so much more of those just quick crossing routes to Tyreek Hill where he just burns everybody. And so it's going to be interesting here. And I only bring this up specifically just because of how good the passing game is for the Jets. So I think that's where having that dynamic offense is going to be crucial for Miami, which they already have. Dynamic's not the right word. I wish I would have thought a better word, because this offense is probably the most dynamic in the league. Just with how explosive they are.
Explosive, I think, might be explosive running plays. So let's quickly get into our predictions here. But before we do that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It's the best way to help out the channel, and you'll get notified when we create new content. And with that being said, Tyler, I think I already know, but who do you have coming out ahead in this matchup?
I'm going to go with Miami here. I just don't know how the Jets are going to be able to put up points here. It's like they've had some upset wins this year if this offense is able to find a rhythm and the defense is just able to shut down the opposing team's offense. I just don't see that here. It seems like we're now finding a new low. It seems like with Zach Wilson and this New York Jets offense here, they need to find a way to keep it competitive. Otherwise, then Rodgers might not even come back this year. I know I heard that there would be a mid-December. This is a goal, which would put him maybe actually around the next time that these two teams play with 4 games left in the season. So
I don't think he'll get cleared, but that's a different.
Oh, that's a separate conversation. I know that's his goal. But if they even want to make that a possibility, they have to keep their playoff chances alive. So, and then sitting here at 4-6. Yeah, they're 4-6, right?
Yeah.
So,
and they have a tough next few games, I believe. Well, Dolphins, Falcons, Texans, Dolphins, Commanders, Browns. Not horrible.
Yeah, not too bad. But so we'll see here. But I'm still going to go with Miami. I mean, I still think that this team is clicking here. I just want to stay in that top form as you get towards the playoff months here. And so, as of right now, they're in good shape, I think, to win the division as well. They do still have to play the Bills, I believe, one more time.
Yeah, Bills are 6-5. So. They're close.
They play the Bills last week of the season. Oh, that could be exciting.
Yeah, that could be a really good game. It's in Miami. I'm also going to go with the Dolphins. You kind of said it before. They're a little bit of a one-trick pony. Tyreek Hill, I think, is averaging they've played 10 games, 122 yards a game, and almost a touchdown a game. So that for me is just extremely impressive. Their one trick is almost unstoppable. So that for me, they're guaranteed to put up about 20 points unless they're playing overseas. So that to me, I'm going to go with them. They're just the better team. So we're both going to take the Dolphins here. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this AFC East divisional matchup. Other than that, we will see you guys next time.